The skies above the human colony of Virella burned for 3 days. The last transmission from the surface was a child's scream drowned beneath static and fire. Then, silence. The attackers, the Thalkiri Dominion, had not come in stealth or need. They descended in silver war cruisers, announcing their arrival in open frequency, broadcasting their intent for all to hear. One death shall be enough, their supreme adjudicator had declared to the Galactic Council. Let humanity understand consequence. Let them witness justice rendered by their betters. The Thalkiri called it punishment. Humans called it murder. Virella had been a trade colony, neutral, peaceful, built upon soil shared with 3 alien species. It was a jewel of cooperation, a symbol of how far Earth had come since first stepping among the stars. And yet, the Dominion erased it in a single stroke. Orbital bombardment glassed continents. Atmosphere boiled. Every living thing, 8 million souls, was turned to ash. When the flames cooled, the Thalkiri broadcast again. A holofeed showed the Dominion's High Marshal standing upon the bridge of his flagship, his armor polished to a mirror's gleam. Behind him, the ruined sphere of Virella hung in space like a charred heart. Let this be enough, he intoned. Humanity must learn humility. One world suffices for their insolence, he smiled, certain his act would terrify the young race into submission. He was wrong. The mockery. For the next month, the Thalkiri rejoiced. Across their empire, banners flew, victory feasts were held, and propaganda flooded the holonets. They told stories of how they had put the lesser mammals in their place, how humanity's cries had been but the whimper of an overreaching child. They spoke openly in the Galactic Council, sneering across the assembly chamber whenever the Terran envoy was mentioned. Humans, said one Thalkiri delegate, laughter in his many eyes, talk endlessly of their morality, their laws, their peace, but when fire reigns, they hide beneath it and die like all others. They are not warriors. They are sentimental. The council did nothing. The Thalkiri were ancient, powerful, entrenched in the politics of fear. Humanity, though respected, was young, barely a century among the stars. No one expected retaliation. The neighboring races whispered that Earth would mourn, not act, that their history of restraint would bind them. They did not remember that restraint is a choice, and choices end. For weeks, Earth said nothing. The Terran diplomatic channels went dark. Fleets ceased routine patrols. Even their colonies fell silent. The galaxy interpreted the quiet as surrender. But among the void between Mars and Neptune, beneath the ice of forgotten moons, ancient forges lit up once more. Silent stations came to life. The old flags of the Solar Union, the black and silver banners of the Interstellar Defense Front, were unsealed. The message that flickered through the encrypted Terran network was brief. The Phoenix Protocol is active. Remember Virella. The silence before storms. The Thalkiri military command first noticed something strange when their listening post began disappearing. Small stations along the border. Silent. Patrol ships gone. Entire sectors where transmissions simply ceased. At first, they blamed equipment failure, then pirates, then coincidence. By the time they realized the pattern, it was too late. Across 12 light-years of border space, the void trembled with faint sensor echoes. Ghost signatures flickered in and out of scans, too brief to lock, too distant to trace. Then came the whispers. Merchant captains spoke of shadows moving faster than light permits, of black ships that made no emissions, no sound, no warning. A Thalkiri convoy vanished, leaving only a single escape pod. The survivor's log was corrupted, save for 3 seconds of recording. They came from the dark. No lights, no voices, only the emblem on their hulls, ashes forming wings. The Dominion dismissed it as superstition. Humanity had no such ships, no stealth technology capable of evading their sensors. Until they did. The first confirmed sighting came from the observation platform, Trelkan. Its commander recorded the moment just before the station vanished. An enormous vessel had emerged from warp, black as night, its surface absorbing all light like a singularity-given shape. On its prow, illuminated only by the burning remains of a Thalkiri cruiser, was a single word. Virella. Moments later, Trelkan ceased to exist. When Earth spoke, the Thalkiri High Council convened in panic. Dozens of their patrols were gone, border worlds burning, communications jammed. They demanded answers. Who led the attacks? What fleet? What empire had dared to challenge them? Their intelligence director brought forward intercepted transmissions. Terse, cold, unmistakably human. This is Task Force Nemesis. You took one life too many. We take your stars in return. Across the stars, human fleets emerged from slipspace like a storm breaking across the void. They were not the explorers the galaxy knew. These were the other humans, the ones history whispered about, the descendants of every war humanity had ever fought, from the trenches of Earth to the orbital sieges of Luna. Hundreds of dreadnoughts, each a city of weapons, carriers releasing swarms of autonomous drones that shimmered like metallic locusts, planet-killer torpedoes glowing with antimatter cores. And at their center, the flagship, HSS Retribution. Its commander, Admiral Yara Mendoza, broadcast a single message across the galactic spectrum, her voice calm, controlled, and infinitely colder than space itself. The Dominion believes one death was enough. Humanity disagrees. You began this. We will end it. The War of Days and Night, the retaliation was not a war. It was a dismantling. The Thalkiri's border worlds fell in hours. The humans didn't occupy, they erased. Orbital bombardments turned defense grids into vapor before planetary shields even registered impact. The Dominion's proud fleets, once considered invincible, shattered under the coordinated precision of human strike groups. The Thalkiri had never fought anyone who didn't fear them. Humanity did not fear. Humanity remembered. At the Battle of Karen Prime, 3 Thalkiri armadas formed a wall to defend their capital world. 2,000 ships stood ready. They lasted 23 minutes. The human dreadnoughts emerged from behind the system's twin suns, using gravitational slingshot maneuvers unseen before in galactic warfare. Their opening volley burned so bright that it was visible from neighboring sectors. Afterward, silence, save for drifting debris and the echo of a human transmission, for Varela. The galaxy watched in horror and awe as the Dominion fell piece by piece. Their communications collapsed, their leadership fled, their temples burned. Entire species who once mocked humanity now hid their flags, hoping not to be noticed. The phrase Varela Protocol spread like wildfire across galactic channels, whispered by smugglers, soldiers, and diplomats alike. It meant one thing: when humanity decides, no one stops them. The Night of Ashes, when the human fleets reached the Thalkiri homeworld, the Dominion finally begged for mercy. Their supreme adjudicator broadcast live across the stars. Kneeling in his grand hall, the same voice that had once declared, "One death enough." "We were wrong," he said. "The punishment is complete. Humanity has proven its—" The feed cut to static. A single Terran transmission replaced it. "No. The punishment begins." Moments later, every satellite in the Thalkiri system deorbited simultaneously. Planetary shields were overloaded, melting from within. The bombardment began. Silent, surgical, deliberate. The atmosphere ignited. Oceans boiled. The surface turned to glass. The Thalkiri Dominion, an empire that had spanned 1,000 worlds, was gone within a week. The aftermath, when the last human ship withdrew, the galaxy held its breath. Worlds waited for Earth's next command. None came. The fleets returned to Sol. The transmissions ceased. Humanity said nothing. No victory speeches. No claims of conquest. Only a single line left engraved in the ruins of the Thalkiri capital, found by scavengers years later. "You thought one death enough. We thought one death too many." The Galactic Council reconvened months later. Empty seats marked the species that no longer existed. Ambassadors spoke in whispers. Every discussion involving humanity ended the same way, with silence and uneasy glances. Trade resumed. Treaties were signed. But an invisible line had been drawn across the stars. The Terran systems became known as the Silent Sphere. No fleets entered without permission. No provocations were risked, because everyone now understood humanity's patience was vast, their diplomacy unmatched, their restraint legendary. But when it ended, when the line was crossed, there was no going back. The legacy of fear centuries later. Children on distant worlds would ask their parents why no one ever invaded human space, and their parents would tell them of Virela. They would speak of how the Dominion burned a single world, believing one death would teach humanity humility, and instead taught the galaxy terror. They would tell how humanity's fleets moved without warning, without mercy, like judgment itself, until the stars burned and silence followed. And they would whisper, almost reverently, "Never provoke Earth. They do not forgive. They remember." Epilogue. The infinite vengeance in the archives beneath the Lunar Command Citadel. A single light still burns. Project Phoenix, sealed after the war. Within its vaults rest the battle plans, the command codes, the memories of those who answered vengeance's call. On its final page, written by Admiral Mendoza herself, are these words: "They thought one death enough. But vengeance is never measured in bodies, it is measured in silence, ours and theirs."